Imagine a time where if you weren't covered in denim, you were committing a fashion faux pas. A time when the word Duran was so awesome everyone said it twice. A time when hair was a foot taller than the average person, and a time when every man had a mustache and women didn't even seem to mind. A time where the only people who knew what the weather was like in Toronto were the people actually in Toronto. A time before the internet connected us all. A time when the news arrived in the morning paper or on TV in the evening. The time I'm speaking of here is the 1980s, or any time previous for that matter. A time before the internet and its news websites kept us all connected.
The internet is constantly doing things that people in previous generations would have never dreamed of.
One of these things is presenting the news in new, never-before-seen ways.
First of all, many of us read a newspaper because it's a habit, so why change this? Why should we turn on our television or switch on our computers if tomorrow morning a newspaper will be waiting for us at the door?
Realistically, if something happens during the day, we're going to hear about it on the evening news anyways, so why wait and buy a paper?
The feeling of reading a newspaper is like reading a book, and it is rooted in many people.
You can read during meals, in bed before sleep, or even in the bathroom.
Realistically, you can use electronic resources in these places, but water damage may occur, and it's certainly more convenient to just have one single piece of paper.
Major newspapers around the world have already noticed this problem a long time ago. They understand that news on the internet is the future.
We should also join this trend, which will help in particular ways promote this newspaper. Who does not do so will be left behind.
So it's not necessarily crucial that all newspapers have a website, but it does expand their funding, and it does make it easier for their users to find.
Many of those advertised on the internet are not always advertised in the newspapers. The number of readers reading newspapers is falling all around the world. This is very reasonable.
The younger generation now does not have a natural attraction to reading papers, books, or newspapers. They are more drawn now to the web and screens.
Therefore, one can see that obviously eventually one day the newspaper on the internet will replace its printed press counterpart in terms of funds and budgeting.
During this transition period, they must retain their best reporters, or they will lose many readers. Newspapers face competition from the internet because it offers free, up-to-date news that is truly international. Jon Katz called for journalism to be rearranged so that it was more interactive, radically rearranged, more sophisticated, and better written.
Cohen says that publishers can use the internet as a marketing channel to reach young potential customers who do not yet read printed newspapers. They can use the internet to serve foreign customers with electronic editions that could not be served cost-effectively before. We see newspapers updated hourly. We see columnists becoming bloggers.
In 1997, Jon Katz asked if newspapers would radically change or if they would prefer to die. Obviously, in 2010, we see that they chose to change and go with the times rather than die.
Statistics show that online viewing of news has gone up 6% from 2005 to 2009. There's been an increase in views of 8%, those people viewing road conditions and weather conditions, while general browsing is down 7%. This shift reflects that more and more people are going online with the specific purpose of finding news, as opposed to just finding it while surfing the net. This has begun to affect newspaper profit. We can see a steady decline in newspaper profit margins from 2004 to 2008. The reason for this being, fewer and fewer people are buying the newsstand newspapers, and thus advertisers are less willing to invest in paper ads instead of online alternatives.
Some experts forecast more money to be invested into online advertising rather than print advertising as soon as 2011. We saw an increase of 31% in investment on online advertising in newspaper sites in 2007. Some predict an increase of $8 billion in online newspaper advertising. It is predicted that eventually all revenue from newspapers will come solely from advertisements.
I I think eventually, like in the future, it probably will, just because like the internet's like the future right now, and everyone's trying to like get like paper-free environments. Like even professors like aren't handing out syllabuses anymore. Like they're all online, so probably.
Yeah, it's because, our website, and I think a lot of the other ones have really gotten into a breaking news format. This just happened, and I can give you 100 words right now, so we'll do that. And then the full story would run in the paper. I mean, there's a certain value to it, although when you step back, it's actually what AM radio has been doing for a long time. So it's not really as new as we kind of think that it is. And for me, the value of the newspaper is an article that's got enough information in it that it really tells you something. If it just, here's a paragraph, something happened. As a reader, I'm thinking, well, okay, so what? Something happened, but what does it mean? And that's the part that's sometimes missing. And most of the longer things we do are on the web, but they're not really the things that are focused on. The right now stuff is what we focus on. So it's a different approach to news. I'm not sure it's better really, nor do I think it necessarily uses the potential of the web, because you can do as much as you want on the web. You can do something long if you want to. You don't have to worry about running out of space on the page. So in a way, to me, we're not really using it the way it probably should be used.
In centuries, yes. I think people are always going to want to have newspaper in their hands.
Yeah.
Like there's a sense of community knowing that somebody else has that paper in their hands
Has the same
too.
thing, yeah.
And even with iPads, I think the research they've done, like looking at people that have like these tablets, people don't read as well on a computer as they do when they have actually something in their hands. So I think because of that, people will always have like printed news. But definitely, I think for the majority of it, it'll eventually go mostly to the internet.
Mostly follow the news online through the CBC website, but I don't really read newspaper like the paper form of it.
Right.
It's mostly just internet.
It's just the internet?
Yeah.
So for the future, do you see like the internet replacing the printing press?
Yeah, I really see that.
Yeah.
I really see that happen, because like the environment and everything, like it's like not wasting paper for like daily news that you can just have it right from your screen. So I think internet's gonna replace newspaper eventually.
For myself, no. I think there's an experience reading a newspaper that allows you to have an overview of the news that is much quicker than even you can get on any newspaper internet site.
I think it depends also where you are.
Yeah.
Because a lot of countries still depend a lot heavily on the print media, and a lot of them folks don't have access to the every person
internet.
doesn't have access to the internet or some form of technology. So a lot of people still read newspapers.
Yeah.
That's the way I grew up, reading papers. It's just that now it seems easier, like more convenient. Plus you're paying for the print edition, and very often you're not paying for the online version. You're just getting access, or at least some kind of access, so you can get the main idea or the gist of the story.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
The internet's changed a lot, and it's changed in particular how people like myself get news and get information. I still read newspapers. I enjoy the Saturday Globe and Mail and Times in a coffee shop. But every day, first thing in the morning, I read the Globe, New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Guardian, and I read them online. I don't pay for them. I get them for free. I don't keep them. I delete them when I'm done. So it's dramatically changed how I get news, and it's also changed how I pay for news. I don't pay for news anymore.
You know I'm a dreamer, but my